Here we are at the beginning of turn 7, December 9th at 9 a.m. Our line of sight is now 3. This is the morning with fog, so that's going to affect our indirect and direct fire. The Soviets go first, and we get replacement points. The Soviets will receive 4, and the Finns will receive 2. So let's go over replacement points real quick. They become available as indicated on the turn track, in this case here on turn 7. And these points must be spent on this turn, or on the turn they become available, or they're lost. So the Soviets must spend their 4 points, or at least try to. A reduced infantry company may take a replacement point during its own reset phase, and then for each replacement point expended, a player may flip one of these units back to its full strength side. Whatever unit you choose to do this, they must be in supply in order to take that replacement point. And being inside an enemy's zone of control, that has no effect on the unit's ability to take a replacement point. Replacement points can only be used to replenish lost infantry steps. Another thing that we can do with replacement points is reconstitution. During your reset phase or the friendly reset phase, 2 replacement points can be spent to bring back a previously destroyed infantry company at its reduced strength. Or if you want to spend 3 replacement points, you can bring it back at its full strength. These units that are reconstituted are placed in any hex which is within 10 hexes of a friendly supply source hex. But they also have to be 4 or more hexes from all enemy units, and placing them would put them in supply. If you place a unit directly on the friendly supply source hex, like if the Soviets were to put it directly on their supply source hex, they don't need to be 4 or more hexes distant from all enemies. That's not a concern with either side. We haven't got close to each other's supply hex. You can also decide to not bring these reconstituted units in right away, but you can put them on the game track or the turn track and bring them in at a future turn that you designate or place them on. And then they'll enter the game at that time as a normal reinforcement. We can see here that the Soviets have 1 unit in the dead pool that's available for reconstitution, and it would be smart to bring them back in. I just have to decide, do I want to spend 2 and bring them in reduced, or spend 3 and bring them in full strength? I will choose to only spend 2 replacement points on this reconstituted unit and bring them back in. They have to be within 10 of the supply hex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll bring them in reduced right there. And the reason I brought them in reduced is because I want to spend my 2 remaining replacement points to help recover some of these units on Katasari Island. And remember, I have to be in supply. And the Soviet units are considered in supply if they can trace a path of no more than 4 hexes to a road hex, then along a path of contiguous road hexes back to their supply. Well, this unit here is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from a road, and they can trace back to supply. Same here, they're only 3 away from a road, and they can trace back to supply. These units here are already on the road back to supply, so no problems there. I think I would rather work on getting these units on Katasari recovered instead of these units here, because they need to start moving towards the village. I'll recover 1 there, and I have 1 point left, so I'll flip one of these companies back to its full strength. So we spent all 4, 1 there, and 2 to bring them back. Now what are we going to do with the Soviets? I want to start getting closer to be able to attack the island here, and I can move along this route and stay out of the enemy zone of control, which will allow me to continue moving. So if I'm here and I would move into a village hex, which only takes 1, and then I'm on the roads, a half, and then 2, and I could move right here. That would cost 2 to move into that hex because of the forest inside the zone of control, and that would keep this unit from digging in. So I'm going to move, like I said, 1 and a half, 2, 4. We'll do the same here. 1, half, 2, and 4. We don't have enough left to conduct an assault. Would not be a smart thing to do anyway, since we lost our bonus. Oh, and I almost forgot to turn over all of my mortars, infantry guns, and artillery. This machine gun can only move 4. It would cost 1.5 to move into that frozen lake hex. 1 for 2.5. 3.5. So I can't move all the way to join them. Is there a better position for this machine gun? 1.5. That would be 3.5, 4. It could do direct fire attacks or lend support, but I think if I move it here onto the northern part of Katasari, that would put me 1, 2, 3. That would allow me to do direct fire attacks or direct fire support on all of those hexes, as long as line of sight allowed me to. I think I'll do that. That'll probably be a better course, and then it'll help me defend the island in case they try and take it back. So we'll go 1.5. 2 more for 3.5 and 4. Now we have the rest of our units here. I'm going to leave the one that's reduced in place so I can attempt recovery. Maybe I should move here, then I can move here, and I would get a concentric attack bonus, and the direct fire or the defensive fire support, well, no, they wouldn't be able to do that because I'm not on a frozen lake. Okay, maybe that's a good way to do it then. How many units do I have here? I have 4 full strength infantry units. If I move up the road, that would be 1, and then 1.5, 1.5 for 4. So I could do that. Or I could just move here, and then that'd be 3.5. This unit, I can move 1 into the village, 2.5, 3.5, 4. Okay, so they can make it there. So let's get ready for that attack. 1.5, 2, 3.5, 1, 2.5, 4, and we'll do the same there. I know that I'm stacking infantry up, but I need to take chances to try and come after these units. And maybe I should have come into here instead, because from here I had to pay 2 to go there, and it would be 2 to go there. So I'm going to change my mind and go to here instead, because that still keeps me from having them dig in, and I can do an attack right away on that dug in position. But I did not check to see if it was beneficial to me before I moved into position. They have 10 there and they're dug in. I have 15, which is going to be halved, down to 8. So that would be 18 attacking a 10, which is going to put me at a 1-to-1. That's not good. So I'll go ahead and stay with my original plan. I know I'm changing my mind a bunch of times, but I'm not going to attack this time. I'll stick with what I initially was going with. We have these infantry guns here. Well, not infantry guns, anti-tank guns. And they can only move 3. Let's go ahead and move them 1.5, 3, 1.5, and 3. Start moving them in that direction, because they have a range of 3. So if I can get them out on the northern part of this island also, we can use them. Even though they're weak, we can fire a bunch of them. We have a lot of units that need to attempt recovery. We have our infantry gun and mortar here also. So these units that need to recover, and I forgot I had that unit under there. I'm going to have them go 2, 1.5 for 3.5, 1.5 again for up to 5. Get them in position 2. Very dangerous going out on these frozen lakes, but I have a long time until night, And again, the Finn's artillery is not extremely formidable. But then again, moving that 5 into position means if I was here, I'd have 20 down to 10. So that'd be 20 attacking a 10. And I would start at a 2-to-1, but the shift for being dug in would take me to 1-to-1. So I would need to use a lot of indirect fire support to go after these 2 full strength units there. So I think we'll hold off, wait for some more support. My infantry gun here can fire 10, so it can cover all of this. I don't think it can hit up there, can it? Well, it can hit the lowest one. So let's go ahead and get them into better position. We're going to move the infantry gun forward to the same position as this infantry gun. So that 10 will now take us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way out to there. Okay, so now we have everything covered. We can use the infantry gun to fire on any of the Finnish units that are currently on the map. The mortars only have a range of 6, so let's get them into a better position. So that'd be 1.5, 3. Oh, what am I doing? They can only move 2. Where do we want them to move to? Well, we need them more for the hotel than over here. So we'll just move them forward 1 and leave that mortar in position there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it can cover all of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's good. We'll leave that there. Moving everybody into position for a coming attack. The Soviets get their big artillery in the next turn, so they may be able to do a lot more damage. Do we want to attempt an attack on the hotel right now using current artillery, infantry guns, mortars, to see if we can put a dent in it? Let me run the numbers. Before we run the numbers, I realized when I started uncovering the stack that I had a reduced unit there. Probably should have used that replacement point there, but it's not that big a deal. So we will move them out of there and drop them back. We'll stay on the road. We have to spend 1 to move out of that enemy zone of control. So that's 1 and then 1/2, 2 and 1/2, 3 and 1/2. So we'll move back here with this reduced unit so we're sufficient distance away. And you might have just heard that weird howling noise. Here in Florida, again, we're having some crazy weather today, so you might hear some strange noises outside. We have an infantry unit underneath that machine gun that is capable of stepping in to the place of the one that pulled out, so we're okay there. We're at our stacking limit anyway. I don't think now is the time to attack. We would be attacking with 47 to 28, which is going to boil down to a 1-to-1. The Finns are dug in with Piari there, so they're going to get 2 column shifts to the left, which would make it a 1-to-3. So we'd be working really hard with our artillery and indirect fire, mortars and infantry guns to try and really shift that over to at least a 3-to-1. That would require a 4 column shift, which would need a lot of success. So we're going to hold off, wait for our big guns to come here in the next turn before we go ahead and make an attempt at attacking that dug in hotel position. But we have several units that need to recover. We have this one to attempt, that one there, and this one moved back so it can't attempt it, but this one underneath can. So I'll go ahead and roll the recovery. Everybody is at least 4 away, so they're going to get that bonus. And when I roll, I'll start here in the south. This one will be second, and the one on Kivalsami Bridge will be third. We need a 5 or 6. We're starting with the southernmost one. No. Now we'll do the one over on the island. No. And finally the one on Kivalsami Bridge. Yes. Not a terribly successful recovery attempt. Only the one unit on the northern part of the Kivalsami Bridge was able to recover. Do we want to fire off a bunch of indirect fire weapons? We do have these infantry guns and mortars, and we'll get them back at the beginning of our turn. I don't think the Finns are going to launch a massive assault that we need to worry about using them for defensive support. Our artillery off map have a strength of 5, our mortars have a 5, and our infantry guns have a 3. We have spotters in a lot of places, but we do have the modifier because of fog, and a lot of these units are dug in. We do have these solitary ones here. We have a spotter right there that are not dug in. I think they're out of range. Yeah, they're out of range of the mortars, but the infantry guns can hit them and the artillery can hit them. You can only spot this one here because this is not frozen lake, so the forest would block line of sight. I could shoot here, but again, these are dug in targets. Maybe if we go at these here, try and reduce their strength before we make our attempted attack here coming up. The infantry guns are not strong enough to do anything really. Even if I go at this dug in position with 2 of them, the dug in and the dawn or the fog modifier here at morning would reduce our modifier to 0. Even with the artillery firing at a strength of 5, they would need a 12 plus their 5 to get 17 to cause a step reduction. Suppression's not going to help us right now because we're not attacking. Alright, I'm not going to waste the ammo. I do have 5 turns remaining and 3 artillery pieces with only 7 ammo remaining. So we'll wait to use them. Use them in conjunction with the big artillery we're going to get in our next turn. We'll stop there with the Soviets and go into the Finns' turn. Again, the Finns have no reinforcements, and they only get 2 replacement points, which they're going to spend on that one unit they have in the dead pool that's eligible, that we saw when we looked at the Soviets. That's the first of the first JR-16, and since they only have 2 points, they can only bring it back in its reduced state within 10 of their hex, and we have to stay at least 4 from the enemy, so we can't come here anywhere close. So that's about as close as we could get with those units there. Maybe we'll go in this direction. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, actually it is good. It's 4 or more hexes, so they could come there to that dug-in location. And I'll do that. We'll bring them here to this dug-in location where they are 4 or more away. They'll help defend, and then we can attempt recovery with them also. And we can attempt recovery with our other units up here. Let's get that taken care of first. Get the attempted recovery, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do as far as moving any units around. The first roll will be for attempting recovery with the unit I just brought in. Second roll will be this top one here, 3rd on the bottom, 4th on the top, 5th on the bottom. The Finns will also only receive a +1 bonus for being 4 or more hexes away. First, that unit we just reconstituted. No luck there. And then we'll go through those 4 units that we have closer to Ludokomoki. No. Now the one underneath the southern one, no. The northern top, no. And the northern bottom. Yes, only 1 success out of 5. Only a single success as far as recovery. And let's look at our other units now. Well, we can't dig in with this unit. We could start digging in here, or I could just move that unit forward to help bolster their strength. I think that's more important right now, but that does make me a better target for indirect fire. We have our 2 infantry companies here. We do have an attack coming. Actually, I'm going to move them here into that dug in position. So it's going to cost them 1 extra to move out of the enemy zone of control, but they got the road connected, so that's not a problem. They have to stop movement right away anyway because they're moving into another enemy's zone of control. I could move this unit down to keep them in the zone of control to make it harder for them to move into position. Yeah, I'll do that. Leave them in the village there. I don't think I have much else that I'm going to do. We already have our machine gun units here ready for support. Is it worth taking a shot here? I think in this case it would be worth taking a shot at them because they have 4 infantry companies there, which would give us a +4. We lose 1 because they're dug in, and we lose 1 because of the fog. So we get a +2, and the machine guns fire at a strength of 4. So it would give us 6. If we roll an 11 or 12, that gives us a 17 or 18. So we could do some damage. So I think it's worth a shot. So we'll have these 2 machine guns fire. We do have an open frozen lake hex here, so we have line of sight, which we only need a line of sight of 2 to get there, and we have 3 right now in the morning. So we have both these machine guns doing a direct fire attack on that hex right there. I'm going to go over the numbers again out loud just to make sure I'm not missing anything. +4 for the infantry company. Dug in -1. Oh, it's -2 for direct fire, see? Good thing I said them out loud. So that's down to a 2, and then fog is down to a 1. So they only get a 5, so they need a 12. But still, why not give it a shot? It doesn't use ammo. So close again. Oh, and one more time. No. I do have the mortar here that I could fire, but I want to save it because they're getting their artillery next turn, so they're probably going to attack. I think that's all for the Finns. I really don't want to attempt an attack from the hotel. Even with Piari there, I just don't have good support for my direct and indirect fire. And I think the Finns will wait too, because in the next turn they get 2 more mortars coming in who can move into position and lay down some more indirect fire with the mortar that they already have. And the Soviets get their big artillery. We're going to see a lot of action in the next turn, I think. These past couple of turns, just a little bit of attacking, jockeying for position, getting everybody moved in and recovered. I think we're going to see a lot more combat in these coming turns, especially not just the next turn, but turn 9 when the fog lifts and we have 2 turns with line of sight, 5, and no penalties for indirect fire. I think we're going to see a lot of combat and a lot of artillery and indirect fire falling out of the sky. Our battlefield is fairly compact now. We don't have a lot more reinforcements coming. The Soviets are really concentrating on dislodging the Finns from the hotel because of that massive amount of victory points, and if they can have them fall back soon enough, they may be able to attack the gravel pits and get more. I don't think they can make it through all of those and take over the bridge, but I could be wrong. They're starting to gather around the village in the hopes of dislodging some of these units maybe to gain some victory points there. Lutukamoki, I think, will stay in the hands of the Finns. I don't think there's going to be any way that the Soviets can get over there. And just off the map up here we have Hirvisvara, that the Soviets really kind of have this blocked off, the direct route for the Finns to get there, unless the Finns want to use a night raid on the very last turn to gain Hirvisvara back, because I think the Soviets are going to grab it when their reinforcements come from the northeastern part of the map. The Finns are going to hold fast there and prepare for the coming storm that's going to start here in the very next turn.